And the participle agrees with this. The elements of the participle agrees with the accusative singular neuter. Therefore, it agrees and it's adjectival here. So, and every lofty thought which exalts itself, and then what do we have? The prepositional phrase, kata plus gnosis. Kata theis gnoseos tu theu, against. Kata plus the genitive is against the knowledge of God. And here, gnosis is not used for epignosis or gnosis specifically. It's just is used for the principle of doctrine, just in general. Whether it's epignosis inside of you or it's gnosis that you have not learned yet, it's just all of it. Arrogance sets itself above knowledge that you do not know. Arrogance sets itself against and above knowledge that you also know inside of you. It sets itself above doctrines that you have not heard or have not comprehended. And arrogance also sets itself above the epignosis inside of you that you know so well and you use. So no one is free from arrogance because we all have a sin nature and we can fall into this anytime. The reason why we need to use 1 John 1:9. Whenever possible, just name arrogance. Just name it. Name it. And if you do not know, just name it. Okay? I'm being arrogant. Arrogance, lofty, conceit, whatever it is, just name it. Okay. And every lofty thought which exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And we're going to see in verse 6 how you take vengeance on those disobedient thoughts. What do you avenge? You avenge the truth. God, when he disciplines you, he avenges the truth that you rejected. Remember that. Okay. So this is cosmic 1. This is cosmic 2. Ban hupsoma, every lofty thought, are arrogant thoughts, preoccupation with self. Cosmic 1. Logismos, reasonings, are complex reasonings, complex systems of philosophy meant to replace God. And cosmic 2, motivated by antagonism towards the truth, hatred towards the truth. Then we have kai, the sequential kai here. Then, aik malotitsontes. This is a present active participle of aik malotitso, and it means captivating. Captivating. This is also a customary present for what Paul and his team do. But it's also a gnomic present for a general timeless fact. This is the way God designed things. He wants you to captivate every thought inside of you. The battle is inside of the soul. The battle is not on the outside. You doing cute things and looking very pious in front of people, acting very Christian. It's what you think. The real you is inside of you. And I could be looking very nice with a tie and my sports jacket or my blazer with nice shine shoes and my hair very nicely combed. But deep inside of me, I could be extremely evil. Well, that's the real me, inside of the soul. I could be very evil. But you have to understand that the doctrine is inside of this. The battle is inside of the soul, not on the outside. You can look at an old man walking, you say, oh, el viejito, oh, look at that old man, he looks so sweet. Little do you know that he's full of evil inside of his soul, bitterness, attention lust, approbation lust, etc. Like malotitsontes, you captivate the thought. First you breach the stronghold, you demolish it, and then you go in there and you captivate every thought. This is analogous, or what this applies to us, meaning that you're going to go through tests, and every time you pass the test, 10 minutes or 20 minutes after, or 1 day or 5 days or 10 days after, you're still going to probably be thinking about that test. And what happened? What did you do wrong? What did you apply wrong? What did this person do? How did he hurt you? How dare he? All these different things. And you have to go back and captivate those thoughts in there because they remain in there. If you allow any little root of bitterness, of anger, of anxiety, of fear, etc., you're going to allow those thoughts to regroup, and you're going to perpetuate the battle. One principle of warfare is you do not allow those who are running away, the enemy forces, once you're defeating them and they start running away, you do not allow them to regroup anywhere else. So therefore, you pursue them. Watch out with the fake pursuit, by the way. But yes, you go and pursue them, and you captivate them and slaughter them when necessary. Same here with the test. If you allow those thoughts after the test, even though you were successful in the test, thank God for that. He always gives us the victory. Even though you were successful, but you allow those thoughts to remain in there. Bitterness, and all those things, mental attitude sins. You allow them to regroup, and you perpetuate that battle. It's a beautiful analogy. Okay, so malotitsontes, the active voice. Here, the weapons produce the action of the verb. These weapons, the divine power weapons belonging to God, they captivate him. What are these? The 10 problem-solving devices. Those thoughts, after your successful spiritual battle, those thoughts remain in there. So you use those 10 problem-solving devices and you go captivate them. So you do look inside of your soul and an introspection without becoming subjective. Remain objective always. You go in there, what did I do wrong? What happened here? What happened there? And you apply the problem-solving devices, any impersonal love that you need, personal love, any faith threats, etc. You need to apply it. Remember, you counter those thoughts with doctrine, and you sow seed of righteousness. Captivating. What do you captivate? Well, the participle here is also circumstantial with here our weapons. The weapons of our army are divine power weapons. Captivating every what? Ban no ema. So again, the accusative direct object, a singular neuter of bus. Every no ema, every thought. I'm not going to go over this word again as I did yesterday, but this is thought, meaning both of these ones. Every thought, whether it's a logismos, reasoning, or whether it's a lofty thought, hupsoma, whether it's cosmic 2 thought or cosmic 1 thought. So this tells you have to captivate every thought. And then ace plus the accusative of direction of hupakoe, which means obedience, to the obedience, and then the descriptive genitive of Christos, of Christ. It means inside the divine power sphere, you apply those 10 problem-solving devices, you captivate them, not allowing those thoughts to go around roaming and having thoughts of their own. You captivate them and you subject them to the plan of God, here also known obedience of Christ, inside the divine power sphere, only done through the 10 problem-solving devices. Remember, your weapons are divine power weapons. If you try to counter them and think about those thoughts with human solutions and your defense mechanisms, you're going back to your sarkika weapons, your fleshly cosmic weapons. You're not going to captivate them. You're going to join those thoughts. You're going to increase them. You're going to give them power and increase their morale. Okay. This could also be a plenary genitive in the sense that first, subjective, secondly, objective. Subjective, Cristo does the obedience. He did it in the first advent during the dispensation of the hypostatic union. He had this same spiritual life as we did. He also had to go captivate those thoughts, except he did not give in to them, and he never sinned, obviously. And thus he never sinned. Objective genitive means that the obedience is to Christ. We obey Christ by following his same spiritual life, doing the same thing that he did, thinking the same thoughts that he thought. All right. Now for the doctrine of evil. Because all these reasonings and lofty thoughts are evil. And it's very difficult to distinguish what evil is. Because you've watched all these Disney movies, the forces of evil. You watch all these other things that says, oh, he's a really evil person and this evil, and you hear evil people criticizing other evil people, and you say, which one is evil? Well, we're here to distinguish what evil is. Am I in the correct place? Am I? Doctrine of evil, yes. I haven't suffered much pressure with this one compared to the doctrine of the angelic conflict. I've did this with much ease, and I enjoyed it a lot. I also enjoyed the other one, by the way. I'm beginning to like the pressure. I'm learning how to be happy in the midst of that way down pressure, or whatever type of pressure it is. Pressure does take many different forms. Point 1, definition. We must define it. And we have a whole definition and description here, and it's point 1. I know it takes a while, but bear with me. Definition. Evil is the policy of Satan as the ruler of this world. Evil is a thought, and it originates from the greatest creature genius in history. And I say creature genius because Satan is a creature, angelic creature created by God. His genius does not match the omniscience, the genius of God. So we're always on the winning side because God is infinitely powerful than Satan. But Satan is so arrogant that he always thinks that he can beat God in his own game, and he cannot. He's been failing for thousands of years, and failing and failing. I'm beginning to wonder if, there's arrogance has a whole lot of self-deception. So when you see a little victory here, victory there, when you're able to get away with things here and be able to deceive a lot of Christians, you use that as a way to just build you up. And yes, I'm winning. Kind of like people celebrate victories and they exaggerate them kind of to build themselves up in front of other people. He probably does that. Okay. So evil is a thought, and it originates from Satan himself. Just as grace and doctrine represent the genius of God in relationship to the human race, so evil represents the genius of Satan in relationship to the human race. Both of these options are available. Doctrine has existed before you, and is going to exist after you. Evil has existed before you, and is going to exist after you're dying. You cannot change doctrine, and you cannot change evil. But you can allow either doctrine to change you or evil to change you. Therefore, the angelic conflict can be reduced to the fact that the soul is the battleground. After all, that's the reason why you're called, mandated to be filled with the Holy Spirit, which is inside of the soul. The reason why the indwelling of the Holy Spirit at salvation occurs in the body, because that's where their sin nature is at, the body. And now they're vying for power of the high ground. What is the high ground? The soul. Who controls the soul is determined by you, whether you use 1 John 1:9 or whether you do not use it at all. The soul is the battleground. Evil, being Satan's policy, relates to the rejection of God's person, plan, purpose, design, and doctrine, while substituting these with false systems of modus operandi and modus vivendi. It's meant to substitute God. It rejects God's system, his person, everything that he has to offer, and it builds its own system, whether it looks good and nice and high class, etc. It builds it up and it substitutes God's system. Therefore, evil relates to seeking solutions to problems, personal and collective, apart from God's plans. Personal, your own personal problems. You have problems, we have problems. Now, the way you go about them, the solutions that you seek, can be evil, even though they are meant to better your life, to make you happier. They can be evil if they reject God's solution. Especially if you're a believer, you're under a higher standard. If you've been a believer many, many years, if you have some doctrine and you still go back to your cheap human solutions, then it most likely is evil, because you already know much better. You're rejecting a whole lot of doctrine at that moment and using your own human solution instead of God's solution. So yes, it's evil. Okay, so, and collective, seeking solutions to societal problems, to the nation's problems. Let's correct them apart from God's plan. In this case, in government, it would have to do with seeking solutions that reject God's divine establishment. Such weird ideas, such as socialism, socialistic ideas. But let's continue before I go to the specific examples.